Hey, it's Pastor Dave from St. John in Woodbury, Minnesota. Thanks for checking out today's 5 minutes of hope for Tuesday, April 14th. It's interesting because now we are past Holy Week, we're past Lent, and at least in the church world, this would be the week where things really start to get back to normal. But unfortunately, as you are very well aware of, all sense of normalcy is out the windows right now. Because we are in these weird times with quarantines, with the virus, we're going to keep on posting these videos to remind us that we have hope at all times, even, and I would say especially in the darkest of times. And today we're going to pick back up with our look at Lamentations. So if you've been tracking with these devotional videos, these 5 minutes of hope, you'll know that we took a little break last week. So we started looking at this book of Lamentations a couple weeks ago, took a break last week for Holy Week, and now we're going to get back into Lamentations 3. It's going to take us a couple of days to get through Lamentations 3 because it's a longer chapter, but it's also just filled with so much good stuff. And again, a reminder about Lamentations. Again, this is a book, a small, short Old Testament book, was written during the time of the exile. And so the people of Judah, the southern kingdom, again, this is Jerusalem. God had punished them for their sins. He sent in the Babylonians to destroy Jerusalem, to destroy Judah, and to take the people into exile to Babylon. And again, in the midst of that exile, these poems, this book was written. And like I said, chapter 3 is filled with just so much amazing stuff that I think we can really relate to during what we're going through. Again, with the pandemic, with the effect that's having on not only people's healths physically, but the emotional health, the mental health. I saw an article today that calls to the suicide hotlines are through the roofs, which makes sense when you're isolated and people in dark places. Their mind can go to very bad places. Saw again how this is affecting our relational health. They're saying how calls for domestic violence are increasing. There's also a prediction that once this is over, again, I hope it's not true, but they're predicting that the divorce rate might go up when people are let out of quarantine. Again, I hope it's not true, but you can see that's true. So again, when we're going through everything we're going through, and then we come across a chapter like this, like I said, I think there's a lot of connecting points there. And it's interesting, for the first handful of verses in Lamentations 3, the author, the poet, he talks about how awful his life is. He's talking about the punishment that he's dealing with, that God is pouring out upon him, again, because of sin. And I want you to listen to some of the language here. And again, I'll put a link to the video so you can read through Lamentations 3 on your own if you'd like. But just listen to what some of the ways that the author describes his life. Again, this discipline, this punishment that God is placing upon him. It talks about, I am the man who has seen affliction under the rod of his wrath. It talks about, he has made my flesh and my skin waste away. He has broken my bones. He has made me dwell in darkness like the dead of long ago. He continues on in Lamentations 3. He says, he is a bear lying in wait for me, a lion in hiding. He turned aside my steps and tore me to pieces. He has made me desolate. Later on, he says, he drove into my kidneys the arrows of his quiver. I have become the laughing stock of all peoples, the object of their taunts all day long. This next part is just, it's gruesome to think about. He says, he has made my teeth grind on gravel and made me cower in ashes. And so he's looking at, again, his life in exile, the pain, the suffering, the hardships, and God's discipline. And this next part, I think we can really relate to. Again, if we're really struggling with these times, he says, my soul is bereft of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. And maybe you said these next words, maybe you said these last words that you too have said to yourself, I've forgotten what happiness is. Joy has left me. And he continues on again, like I said, maybe these words have come to your thoughts or even have come out of your mouth. He says, my endurance has perished, and so has my hope from the Lord. And so what he's saying is, in these hard times, I don't even know what it means to be happy. My joy has left me. In fact, my hope in the Lord, my hope that something good will happen, is gone. And then after all of this, the author says these words. He says, in the midst of all this, this thought comes to mind. And because of this, in verse 21 it says, but this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness, where we get that great hymn, great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul, therefore I will hope in him. And so that's my encouragement to you today. If you are thinking to yourself, life is hard, life is painful, I don't even remember what it means to be happy anymore, all hope has left me. I hope this thought comes back into your mind as it did for the author. That this thought will give you hope, that even in these times, God is great, his faithfulness is great, his steadfast love endures forever, including during these times. So God bless you as you allow the Lord to fill you with hope every day, no matter what your situation might be.